The mission we're going to be doing right now is called Sansha's Acquisition. It's a level 5 and I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to do it solo. It's roughly about 9 million ISK and 109,000 LP, and this is a pretty standard mission. It's not very complicated. It's more a go in, shoot one structure, and warp out. And the ship that I use is the Phoenix, and the reason I use the Phoenix is because the Sanshas actually do a lot of tracking disruption, and that more or less negates the ability to use guns. And if you try and use drones, and I tried in the past a lot, your carriers, the drones, they more or less get ripped apart. And what I try to do is I go in and I'll blitz the mission by going in, absorbing all the damage, and killing the structure. So we're about to come out of warp in a second, and what you'll see is, let's take a look on overview. We're going to see a battle station. The first thing we do is we target the battle station and we fire, and that is the only thing that we're actually going to be shooting at in this mission. And you'll see it looks pretty snazzy. There we go. So this big funky looking thing, we got to pop that. Doesn't take very long. It takes about 4 minutes, depending on your skills and your attributes. This character uses maximum. I've got Caldari Dreadnought 5, Citadel Torpedoes 5. This is a maxed skilled character, and if you things that are important, especially if we look at our skills, this character has roughly 184 million. If you look at your missiles, well, your missiles are more or less maxed. You've got your Citadel Torpedoes, you're at 5, Warhead upgrades, everything you need to get your maximum damage is at 5, and the fitting for this setup is you've got named launchers, T2 hardeners, you've got T2 Capri chargers, you've got rigs, Tech 1 is fine, and of course you've got your Navy ballistics, and you've got a warp core stab. And the warp core stab, you know, if somebody's trying to scram you down or trying to point you or probe you down, it gives you the option to leave the field. It's also a really nice thing to have if you're warp scrambled by an NPC and someone tries to come in and they're scanning you down and you're being warp scrambled by an NPC. You don't want to be stuck there. So in this mission, you're going to be webbed and you'll be neuted, and it starts off pretty slow. You don't even have to turn on your hardener. And this little structure right here, that's what we got to pop. And it's come in, target, and pop, and with the Phoenix it does a maximum amount of damage, and this one right now does 1095 damage per second, which is pretty decent, with 82, 72, 52, and 60 resists. It's a decent setup. So no E-War yet. You'll see this list will gradually get larger and larger as you progress through the battle station. You'll get some spawns, and those spawns will increase the amount of DPS, and you should get roughly about 60% shields by the time you're ready to go. So I'll try to hang as long as I can without turning on the hardener so you can see how it's done. But the Phoenix does allow you to put maximum DPS on a single structure while absorbing damage. There's no micromanagement. Target, click, you're done. The missiles I'm using are the standard Scourge Citadel. I don't use the named ones because they're grossly overpriced. And we want to get the maximum amount of benefit for the minimum cost. And these hardeners are used depending on other missions. But Scourge Citadels get a pretty decent bump in damage. 2,000 with ship skills, with your own skills. It's actually a lot higher. So the 2,000 base we have here, if we look at the Scourge Citadels here, well, the difference is I'm getting 2750 as opposed to the 2,000 stock. And that's actually a pretty big difference. Now what you'll find is some of these NPCs will actually come within range, and they're going to warp scramble you. No problem. Just remember, your smart bomb here can actually kill the warp scrambling frigates, and your warp core stab also gives you the option to leave the field if you need to. So if you find frigates are coming in and warp scrambling you or webbing you, and you can see you're being tracking disrupted right now, that's not a problem. But just make sure that if frigates come too close, you have a 7.5 kilometer range with a decent smart bomb. You can more or less take a little bit of time, but you will be able to kill the frigates. There goes one right now. This will take about 3.5 cycles of missiles with the new Rubicon changes. Now once it gets to about 50 or 60%, you can turn on your shield booster, and your cap will be able to sustain no problem. Just maintain firing until the structure is destroyed. This mission is a little bit boring to do. It's more or less a point and click. Usually this time, sometimes you'll go make a coffee or get a sandwich or something, but there's not really much to do other than to kill this structure and just wait for this clicker to go down. Now, as we're nearing the end of the mission, keep in mind that I've always been pointed towards a large station, and generally it's Aliestra. And again, always make speed in case someone is scanning you down so you can leave the system. And this is the mission in its entirety. Not a particularly exciting one, but it's more or less come in, point and click. And as this mission is almost completed, it is the solo completion of a level 5. The total value of this mission is about 100 million ISK. So it's about 8 to 9 minutes with including the warping in and out. And as we're almost finished, it's completed and we will warp out to dock at Aliestra Station.